As far as I'm concerned, second-hand bookshops really are the best kind of bookshop. You'll often find me rummaging through shelves of books, navigating my way through piles upon piles of books in these very claustrophobic places where you can't move without knocking something over. And of course, who can afford the prices in a high street bookshop like Waterstones? And they don't sell the kinds of books that I like to collect anyway. You know, I prefer older pressings, typically film tie-ins. I'm obsessed with collecting editions or copies, pressings of books that are designed to promote the adaptation. This is by Pan from 1979, designed to promote Roman Polanski's adaptation of Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, which was then, of course, in 1979. It was brand new. Pan, in terms of presentation, Pan are the best when it comes to film tie-ins. For this video, I have accumulated a selection that are all connected to what I like to call kitchen sink land. All novels by new wave writers of the early 60s. For example, this is Penguin's copy of Room at the Top by John Brain. There's Lawrence Harvey as Joe Lampton, really the archetypal angry young man, or the first of all the angry young men. Joe Lampton, the ambitious kind of working class lad climbing up the societal ladder. He essentially he sleeps his way to the top. He marries, or he has an affair and then marries the mill owner's daughter. And there's John Brain, the author. Also by Penguin, Keith Waterhouse, Billy Liar. I don't know if this is this qualifies as a kitchen sink drama. Of course, much of the story is Billy's daydreams, his escapism. You know, this imaginary world that he creates called Ambrosia. He escapes to Ambrosia when reality becomes too mundane and he can't cope. Keith Waterhouse, of course, with Willis Hall, those two went on to write some of the best screenplays of the British New Wave. Whistle Down the Wind, A Kind of Loving, and West 11, which is very underrated. West 11, they wrote the screenplay for. Now there's Tom Courtenay, of course, as Billy, William Fisher, in the film. Albert Finney played Billy in the play. The stage show that came before the film. Speaking of Albie Finney, Alan Silito's classic Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. Really, this is the definitive kitchen sink drama. I know that obviously Room at the Top came first, but there's no denying that Albert Finney as Arthur is the definitive angry young man. Whenever we think of kitchen sink or the angry young man of that period, Albert Finney comes to mind as Arthur. You know, in the film, that opening scene of him in the factory with the narration, the kind of, I suppose it's the his inner thoughts as we watch him in the factory, and dialogue like dialogue that became synonymous with kitchen sink. You know, whatever they think I am, that's what I'm not. Which the Arctic Monkeys stole for their, I think that was their first album. That was the title. It comes from this book. There's Albert Finney on the back with Rachel Roberts as his mistress. And speaking of Alan Sillitoe, of course, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, there's Tom Courtenay again. I mean, these were the adaptations were the first instance in British film where working class actors or northern actors from working class backgrounds were given the limelight, you know, centre stage. Who could forget The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, you know? And all of Sillitoe's, all of the kitchen sink stories were regional. So all of Alan Sillitoe's stories were set in Nottingham. All of John Brain's stories were Yorkshire. That kind of thing. Same goes for Waterhouse. You know, they had a style, shall we say, or a reoccurring theme throughout the stories that they wrote. Then last but not least, we have Stan Barstow's kind of crowning glory, A Kind of Loving. And this is a more recent pressing of the book. I couldn't find a copy from the 60s that featured a photo or that depicted the adaptation on the sleeve. But this is a more recent copy. There's Alan Bates as Vic and June Ritchie as Ingrid, and presumably that is Oldham in the background there. Fantastic.